The following program is a production of Naleo TV.
Aloha, welcome to the Audrey Cooking Show. Today I have several guests. One of them is Dr. Russell Nagata. Can I call you doctor?
You can.
He has a PhD in
Horticultural sciences.
Yes, and I know you because you retired from CTAR.
Yes, retired from CTAR.
But today we're going to talk about home gardening. But I also have two of my grandchildren. Everybody knows Quentin because we go to the market and they go, I remember you were cutting vegetables. Remember the lady said yesterday on TV? Yeah. And this is Artemis.
When you want a great meal, local style, turn on the Leo and sit a while. Watch and listen, then you'll know just how to do it on Audrey Wilson's Cooking Show.
Russell, we're going to talk about gardening in pots, right?
Yes.
So, Russell, when you have a pot this big, what's in this again? All of it is potting soil?
All of it is potting soil. You know, you can use different types of potting soil, or you can use garden soil.
Do you make your own?
I use soil from my garden.
You do?
I put it in the pot. I buy different types of potting soil, but what I've found that any type of soil that has a high content of peat will turn kind of mushy and slushy over time, so try to stay away from those. So what I use is a Miracle Grow in-ground potting soil. It breaks down relatively rapidly, but after a year, you have this beautiful black soil that plants just thrive in.
What kind of soil do we have in Hilo or Big Island?
We have cindery soil,
Is that
everything
good?
broken down. It's good. A lot of times it dries out very quickly. We have, very
Too
good
much
drainage.
yeah.
So they add, a little bit of organic material to retain some of the soil. But you can use, whatever works for you, whatever you have. You don't have to keep buying soil.
So you don't really need a garden. You could do this if you had an apartment or you have
An apartment, and as we said, if you have somewhere around 5-6 hours of direct sunlight minimum,
That's it.
you can grow pretty much, anything.
Okay, when you say anything, tell me what you have in your pot.
In my garden, what you think about the grocery store, carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, lettuce, bok choy, daikon.
Should have brought
beets.
pictures. Wow.
So,
Kids all
eggplants. So anything you think you can grow. Right now I have cauliflower also.
Wow, amazing.
So it depends on, what you grow. Herbs, I like 4-gallon pots. These are about the minimum size because the smaller the pots you have, the more watering you're going to have to do.
Really?
Yeah.
I never thought of that. You would think you
And
have
especially
less
for
water.
plants with bigger leaves that, you've had transpiration on the leaves. So what you want is to size your pot to the type plant. So right here, some of my bigger pots here are these 20-gallon pots.
Yeah. And what do you plant in this kind of pot?
I put eggplant, tomatoes, cucumbers in here.
Do they need more roots? Is that why?
They're more roots, but the plants are a lot larger. They have lots of leaves, so they will, transpire a gallon of water a day. So you need enough soil unless, you have a irrigation system that keeps watering it.
Yeah.
So I tend to use bigger pots that I don't have to be a slave to, keep watering them.
Yeah. So something like that, you said it's 20 gallon.
Yes.
That's like about how many bags of potting soil?
It usually takes about maybe, depending, I would say 3 cubic feet.
Okay, as long as you know how much to buy when you have the... Okay. Now, let's see what you have here. This is
green onions.
Yeah, this is green onions. And then, how do you do the green onions? Do you do from cuttings?
You pull the plant out, you eat the tops. But for my green onions, since they're for home consumption, we just normally cut the leaves off and keep it continuously. So
once you cut the leaves off, where do you cut it from?
I cut it about 1 inch above the soil level.
So you still have white.
I still have some white, but if the growing, so if we were to harvest, we will, you know,
Okay, so you're
cut
gonna
the
put
onions
this,
there, and
and then this will grow back.
that will grow back. So if you have it growing well, I have pots that are continuously producing over 5 years.
Now that's another question. Should we fertilize every week?
It depends on the type of fertilizer. For people who said they can't remember, about fertilizing, I tell them that there's products, low release fertilizer, like NutriCoat, Osmocoat, that you can put in your pot and for once a month, and you can fertilize once a month.
All of the
If you use a liquid type fertilizer, then weekly would be the best way to go.
We're doing it right. Weekly.
To get very good growth.
Yeah. Perennial, yeah.
This is a perennial, and it's very easy to grow.
Yeah.
And this one's about 3 months since I planted it in here, kind of filling up the pots. And I like to grow a lot of herbs, because if you go to the supermarket and look and buy herbs, it's very expensive. So by growing your own, you will use more, and it contributes to better health, because if you start to use the herbs, cilantro, the ginger, different types of basil, then you'll probably use less salts or less sugars to flavor your dish.
So what do you put in your thyme in? What kind of dishes do you put in your thyme?
My thyme is usually, I do some stir fries of different types of vegetables, peppers, and different things. Put it in scramble or omelets. I like it in different types of soups. So we'll mix some thyme with some tomatoes and maybe some hiotang, squash.
Okay, now I just saw something really interesting about a lot of herbs. A lot of herbs are also repellents for mosquitoes and...
the smell, people say that, if you got a lot of mosquitoes, it won't help that much, but it does, like the citronella type smells.
What about I thought it said also like mint, certain mints.
Yeah.
So now that's another good question. When you do home gardening, is there any danger with leptospirosis?
There's always the danger, slugs. Slugs crawl, here and there. But when you got container gardens, it's what you can do is that put them up on a bench, and you can put slug bait or slug killer on the ground. It won't be in your pot. Okay. So, that's another step to help prevent, slugs from going, it won't stop it completely, but it will reduce the threat.
I heard this thing where you put copper or something, or pennies. Does that work?
Copper works it works, but once it gets discolored or oxidized, it won't work as well. So it has to be shiny copper.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things we're going to cook with is cooking with basil. I'm going to make a pesto.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about basil. I know it's like a weed. It grows so quickly, right?
Yeah. Basils grow very quickly. You can grow from seeds or from cuttings.
I did not know. I always thought it comes from, you can only seed it, but you can just take a cutting.
You can just take the cutting, usually 2 nodes or 2 leaf nodes.
Okay.
Cut it.
At that point, you just poke it in the ground.
You poke it in. Some people like to put it in a cup of water and let it root first and then transplant it. But it's just as easy to make cuttings, stick it in the pot.
Because basil is one of my favorite herbs. I love to make pesto. Basil is not a perennial, right?
It can be long-lived as long as you keep trimming the flowers off. If you keep pruning it back and keep it from flowering, then you can keep the growth growing. And it depends on the type of basil that you're looking at. Most of the type that we use for pesto and things, the big Italian leaf type, it won't last as long as some of the other Thai type basils that, a little smaller leaves.
So if I cut all of the seeds off, how much longer will it
If you can go maybe 4 or 5 cycles, it won't be as good as the first crop, but it will give you leaves, and
then it gets woody,
The plant gets woody, but the leaves, as long as you apply enough fertilizer, enough water, the leaves will be very aromatic and flavorful.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to plant some basil. give me a whole list of plants that you can plant in a pot.
Okay, if I can remember all the herbs, all the different types of herbs,
Okay.
from cilantro, marjoram, thyme, oregano, sage, parsley,
Okay.
all of those, and of course the basil.
Okay.
Maybe do some nasturtiums if you like that.
Yeah, I love
For
that.
all of these things, and for the vegetable sides, from carrots and cucumbers, beets.
So the carrots and
daikon.
cucumbers are the bigger ones because you have
The bigger
more.
ones, yeah. So
Yeah.
in a pot about this size, I normally try to get about 50 carrot plants in
Wow.
here. So and it takes about 2.5, 3 months, and you probably
You get and then you get 50 carrots.
you get 50 carrots. You can thin it out to 50, and normally you'll get about 5 pounds of carrots there. So what I tell people, it's a little expensive, to buy a large pot, but you can get cast-offs from nurseries and other things. But normally it'll pay for itself within a year, including the pot and soil if you buy it, if you manage it right. So, I have lettuce in maybe 10-gallon pots, and it costs about $15 to buy the pot. It costs another $5 or $5 to $8 to fill soil in it. But I can get about 9 to 10 crops of lettuce.
Okay, so you're going to get 9 or 10 crops, and then you have to throw the potting soil away.
No, you don't throw gardening soil away in your garden. It's the same. So if you manage your pots well, you will keep that soil forever. That's why I said stay away from the peat type of potting soil that gets really mushy and gooey. Like any organic material, like you look at trees or leaves in the forest, they slowly break down from microorganisms. So the same will happen.
Plus, when you pull something out, you're going to lose some of it anyway, right? Okay,
But
that's really
looking at the lettuce, a 10-gallon pot can grow 4 heads of lettuce. And if you get 9 or 10, so you're looking at 36 to 40 heads of, of different types of lettuce. And when you do the math at minimum of $3 a head, you
or
start
more.
or more. So you can say it pays for itself. So for my lettuce, I do 12 pots.
Wow.
And I plant 2 pots every week. That gives me 8 heads.
Okay.
So every
that's
week.
how you get your cycle going.
I get my cycle.
2 weeks you planting lettuce.
Well, every week I plant, because I use transplants, so that takes 3 weeks in this little tray.
Okay.
And another 4 to 5 weeks in the pot. So once you start cycling, through, then, because the pots are expensive too, you can direct seed into it, but by transplanting, you can save that 3 weeks and, do more.
You're getting me excited about trying to do gardening in pots.
What I tell people, pots are good too, because a lot of people get into the feel that they have to garden. So they go out, they dig a plot, and most people dig a large plot, and it gets ahead of them. The weeds start growing, the insects. So I said, start with a pot, a small, it's a confined area, and it's very manageable. You go out there for 5 minutes a day, and you can do the work.
That's
So,
right.
as opposed to, a big plot.
Yeah.
So, as I tell people, you start with one crop, like lettuce or herbs, and slowly expand.
Great.
Don't try to do 10 or 12 different things at once, because what happens is that you get overwhelmed. So, as I said, master a few crops and then slowly build on that as your confidence. So once your confidence is there, you're going to find, oh, this isn't too bad. I spend a little bit of time, and you can get, a lot of good produce. And I encourage people, like growing the herbs or cilantro. Green onions is something that people always use. And if you look at it, this much would cost you $1 in the store.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I know start out with maybe half a dozen pots. But once they get into it, they find that they're starting to expand. They're using bigger pots. They're growing a wider variety. One of my good friends started to grow these flat leaves or garlic chives.
Oh.
And, he couldn't grow it, but we got him growing, and now he harvests every month. he grows it better than I do because he really takes good care of it, fertilizes with the Miracle Grow every week. So therefore, he gets his beautiful chives. And if you keep harvesting your herbs more often, like chives, you don't have all the dead leaves in there.
Harvesting, does he pull it out or cut?
He cuts.
Okay, and then it regrows.
And grows.
Okay.
Even his green onions, the same thing. He continually harvests it. So, you talked about slugs. If you keep taking the dead leaves off, then the slugs would least likely get in there because they're looking to eat the dead leaves, the slugs. They're not eating green leaves. African snails would eat the green leaves, but slugs, they're looking for the dying, the dead leaves to eat.
So Russell, you said basil is one of the easiest plants to grow. So today I'm going to make a very simple pesto with basil, okay? So I got the water boiling. I need to get my ingredients together. Quentin, can you help me dry the basil leaves? I use a spinner because I don't want any water to be spin at once. Okay. And the other thing too is, and you have a lot of vegetables and stuff, I'm a spinner person because I feel that the greens have to be dry in order for the dressing to stick. Because when you have wet leaves, they don't stick. Let's check it. So I like my spinner. So I got about 6 cups of basil leaves. So let me get everything together and start on the dish, okay? So we could eat. Eating is important in this. Okay, let me get. Okay, I got the pasta water going. So I don't even measure, but I always add salt because you want to season the pasta. While that is boiling up, I'm going to start on the pesto, okay? So I'm going to need half a cup of pine nuts. But Russell, what did you just tell me about instead? Because
instead of using pine nuts, use raw macadamia nuts. Okay. And those will have a similar type of oiliness.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. So, yeah, because pine nuts are so expensive. Mm-hmm. I was just at Costco. I think a bag of pine nuts was like $35.
Yes.
It's very expensive. So just use macadamia nuts
instead. Use macadamia nuts.
Okay, so I used half a cup of that. And then I'm going to put about 3 ounces or 3/4 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Just almost all of this. Because I just measured this, 3 ounces. I'm just going to save some for later. And then we're going to put some garlic cloves. About 4 or 5 of them to give it nice flavors. And Quentin just spun the basil dry for me. Watch this, Quentin. It's going to just come down. Nothing. Make a lot. I like my basil pesto. Very tasty.
Yeah, if you're going to have, about, as you said, your 6 cups or whatever of basil, I would say that you should be growing about half a dozen plants to ensure that, you have enough. Most people, try to do 1 or 2, but you won't have enough leaves to do an adequate one.
No. Okay, turn it on. Okay, I'm going to add in about 3/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. Now, okay, push the button. Okay, that's about. There it goes. There it watch. Beautiful. Okay, got a leaf stuck here, so just push it down. But you want it a nice smooth paste. Smell that. That smell nice? Basically, we have a sauce. And this is how easy it is. I just love pesto. And I don't like my pasta overcooked, so I do a 10-minute cook, and then I like it kind of al dente. Hold on. I'm at 15 seconds, but because it's not, the 10 minutes isn't good because it's too al dente. Russell, why don't you cut me your green onions so we can use that as a garnish for our pesto. So you do all the cooking at home?
I do a lot of the cooking.
Fantastic.
One way to ensure that you eat what you want.
That's true. And eat what you grow.
Yeah. It's what's in the garden and go from there.
Oh, this is nicely al dente. This is about 11 minutes of pasta. I'm going to not drain it because I need the water. I'm just going to put it in here. There we go. Right. What I'm going to do, Quentin, is we're going to take that pesto and we're going to mix it in the pasta. We want a little bit of pasta water because pasta water is thick. It has some starches in it. And when you want to thin something out like the pesto, you use pasta water. Okay, go. Got all of that out. This one. All right, now, can you help me mix this? Oh, this is a very hot. Can you help me mix this so I can use this to make an Italian dressing, to go make a salad to go with it? Just mix this up. Mix it. I will give you some. Okay. Make sure it's all blended. I want all of the pasta to be green. Do that. Is this easier? Here, this might be easier. Blend it so that it's all green. Use it all. Now, if you make a lot of this, because you have a garden full of basil, you can save this. All you have to do is put it in a jar and top it with some olive oil, and then it won't discolor, because as soon as it starts to darken, but when you block the ability for it to see air by putting a layer of olive oil on the top, then you can keep it for, probably a couple weeks. But
Good to know.
yeah, a week at least, 2 weeks before it darkens or freezes. No, you don't poke it. You're mixing. Yeah, okay. Just turn it. And I'm going to save the rest of whatever's in here to make a beautiful Italian dressing. Okay, we're going to make a easy Italian dressing, okay? So we need about 2/3 cups of oil, and I'm just going to use the leftover basil. I don't want to waste it. And 1/4 cup of vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of Italian dressing mix. Now, you can always make an Italian dressing mix, and if you just put 2 tablespoons of dry oregano, 2 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, 1 tablespoon of garlic salt, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1/4 teaspoon of celery salt, and just make that into a dry mix. You can always have that available. So this is it. Now the last thing I'm going to put in here is about a half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. I've talked about that, but xanthan gum is the thing that would make the oils not separate. Okay, so we have a nice, beautiful, cohesive, thick Italian dressing now. It almost looks like you put mayonnaise in it, but it's not. It's just mixing it, the oils with the different herbs, vinegar, and then we're going to mix that with some salad stuff. Make a beautiful dressing. It's really good. Okay, let's plate the food, Russell, and give it a try. Ready?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, guys, are we ready to try? Okay, let's give it a try. This is your basil from the garden, okay? Okay, try some. Artemis, try. Here, try. Take the cheese.
Oh, it's very good.
Isn't that good? Like it? Mm-hmm. Delicious.
Just the right amount of cheese and
Yeah,
basil flavor's great.
yeah. And fresh and very nice. Okay? Thank you for watching the Audrey Wilson Show. Until next time, aloha.
When you want a great meal, local style, turn on the Leo and sit a while. Watch and listen, then you'll know just how to do it on Audrey Wilson's Cooking Show.
The preceding program was a production of Naleo TV.